Mason from FX Empire, and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple's XRP. Looking at the MACDs, the moving averages, the day's support, resistance, pivot levels, and the Fibonacci's. It is Sunday, the 21st of March. Looking at Bitcoin against US dollars, bullish start to the day. Going to need to see Bitcoin move through the pivot of 58.626, take a run at the first major resistance level, sitting at 59.453. We need support from the broader market for Bitcoin to break back through to 59,000 levels. Barring an extended crypto rally, we would expect that first major resistance level and yesterday's high at 60,000 to cap any upside. In the event of an extended rally, should see Bitcoin test resistance at last week's swing high 61,699 before any pullback. Second major resistance level is at 68.26. Then to move through the pivot, we'll bring the first major support level of 57.253 into play. Buy and extend itself on the day. Bitcoin should stay clear of the second major support level, sitting at 56.426. Looking at the MACD, we have a slight narrowing of the bearish histogram after yesterday's late bearish cross. Nothing suggestive of a positive day ahead, so need to keep an eye on that. On the EMA, the 50 has also narrowed marginally on the 100 and the 200. That's also a slightly bearish indicator. The key through the early part of the day, move through the pivot at 58.626 back through to 59,000 levels to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that, support levels will come into play. Moving across to Ethereum against US dollar, choppy start to the day. Going to see Ethereum move through the pivot at 1825 to take a run at the first major resistance level, sitting at 1850. We'll need support from the broader market for Ethereum to break back through 1840 levels through the early part of the day. Buying and extend crypto rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and yesterday's high at 1869 to cap any upside. In the event of an extended rally, see Ethereum test resistance at 1900 before any pullback. Second major resistance level is at 1894. Failure to move through the pivot will bring the first major support level 1782 into play. Buy and extend itself on the day. Ethereum should stay clear of sub 1700 levels. Second major support level at 1757 should limit the downside. Looking at the MACD, we've got a widening of the bearish histogram after yesterday's late bearish cross, suggesting a downside ahead. On the EMA, the 50 has narrowed on the 100 and the 200, also suggesting some downside. So keep through the early part of the day, move through the pivot 1825 back through to 1840 levels to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that, support levels will be in play. Moving across to Litecoin against US dollar, also positive this morning. Going to need to see Litecoin move through the pivot at 202 to take a run at the first major resistance level at 205. We'll need support from the broader market for Litecoin to break out from the early morning high at 201.95. Barring an extended crypto rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and yesterday's high at 206 to cap any upside. In the event of an extended rally, should see Litecoin test resistance at 210 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 209. Failure to move through the pivot would bring the first major support level, sitting at 197 into play, and the 23.6% fib at 195. Buying and extended sell on the day, Litecoin should stay clear of sub 190s. Second major support level at 194 should limit the downside. Looking at the MACD, slight narrowing of the bearish histograms after yesterday's late bearish cross, but nothing suggestive of a bullish morning ahead. We need to keep an eye on that. On the EMAs, the 50 has pulled back further from the 100 and the 200, with the 100 also pulling back from the 200, which is continuing to give a bearish signal. To keep through the early part of the day, move back through the morning high and through the pivot level at 202 to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that, support levels will be in play. Finally, looking at Ripple's XRP against US dollar, bullish start to the day here. Going to need to see Ripple's XRP avoid a fallback through the 23.6% fib at 0.5320 and the pivot level at 0.4978. Take a run at the first major resistance level at 0.5777. We'll need support from the broader market for Ripple's XRP to break out from yesterday's high that was at 0.55. So buying and extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level to cap any upside. In the event of another breakout, could see Ripple's XRP test the second major resistance level at 0.6299 before any pullback. fall back through the 23.6% fib and fall through the pivot level at 0.4978 would bring the 38.2% fib at 0.4632 and the first major support level at 0.4455 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, however, the 38.2% fib at 0.4632 should limit the downside. Looking at the MACD, we have a narrowing of the bullish histogram this morning, suggesting a possible pullback from early highs. On the EMAs, however, it's still bullish indicator, with the 50 pulling away further from the 100 and the 200, suggesting further upside ahead. Through the early part of the day, avoid a fallback through 23.6% fib and avoid the pivot at 0.4978 to take a run at the major resistance levels. Okay, to do that, and support levels could come into play.